Hello, this is Michael Millard for Real-Time Rendering Assignment 3 entitled Normal Mapping. So for my scene demonstration, I've just stacked a cube, a cylinder, and a sphere, one above the other, each of which is rendered by a different shader. At the bottom, I have a shader that takes in a normal map and a diffuse texture, and it computes the normal mapped texture onto the object. In the middle, it is just the diffuse texture mapped onto the object, so no bump or normal maps on these. And then at the top, it is the bump map texture. So as you can see, the diffuse map texture is extremely flat. The texture itself is meant to be a tiled texture where these tiles just stick out of the wall, as can be seen in the case of the bump map and the normal map textures. The normal map is by far the most detailed. It's the appearance of these tiles, the mosaic tiles sticking out, is very, very realistic in comparison to the other two. And that will be a similar theme seen in these house and dirt models over here. So on the left, I've just created a little house with some walls. And this was done in Blender. It's got some tiling, the same mosaic pattern, some bricks, and some dirt. That is rendered with a normal map texture, and this one on the right is rendered with just a diffuse texture. I couldn't render a bump map texture on the house because the tiles and the brick walls didn't come with a bump map texture for me to do so. However, I've drawn them side by side, and I've drawn them next to dirt, which is rendered by a bump map texture. So at this point here, you can look down at the points where all the three different shaders are converging. In the top left corner, we have the normal map rendering of dirt. Then we have the diffuse map on the right and the bump map on the bottom here. So the normal map is probably the most detailed. You've got some slight shadows behind the small rocks and small bits of grass. The bump map also does a good job at appearing realistic. However, if you look closely, there's quite a few black patches that are helping to create that shadowy effect and giving it more of a depth element to it. Whereas the diffuse map is just completely flat. You can see that even though there are stones and rocks, there's no depth to them. It's just a very flat rendering, which is a similar theme on the tiling in the roof. You can see that the roof appears very, very flat and a bit unrealistic. Whereas on the normal map side, you can see some more shadows, some more grooves under the tiles themselves, giving it a far more realistic impression. To end off, I've added a few in-GUI elements just to change the lighting position in the scene. You can change the X, the Y, and the Z coordinates of the light, and I just had a shininess parameter because, as you can see, especially in the case of the normal map, it's a very shiny. There's a lot of reflection going on the walls right now, which is actually a bit unrealistic. In one instance, the diffuse map is actually looking more realistic than the normal map in this case, because the wall would not typically be shiny in real life. But if I turn that up, it should turn it down a bit, and you can see a bit of a reduced shiny effect going on there. Thank you for my demonstration.